Greetings everybody. We're now having a look at the Volatility 75 index, and as you guys know, we usually start off our analysis on the monthly chart. And in regards to this particular monthly chart, I can see that we had this very nice M structure at this point, as you guys can see, and you can also see that the neckline of this M structure has been broken to the bottom side. And what we expect, or what I would love to see at this point in time, is for price to move further down and then come back to the neckline to test it. And at that neckline is where I would look for potential selling opportunities, and I believe that my first take profit should be at least this level over here, and that is because it is a very strong level of support, as you guys can see. To add to that, I hope you guys can see, but we have at this level over here, this candlestick, it is a bearish candlestick with a small body and a relatively long lower wick, which tells us that at that level there's a lot of liquidity sitting there, and that liquidity needs to be triggered by the market at one point or another, as you guys know, liquidity is money which needs to be triggered by the market. Anyway, let's proceed. I'm just going to add a line to that structure, or rather to that candlestick, so that we don't forget about it, which is over here. It's a lot of money sitting at that point. And then I'm also going to just add a neckline to that structure. Let's have a look. We can say that more or less this is the neckline of our M structure, and as I've said, the neckline has been broken to the bottom side, and we might then potentially see price push further down, right? Anyway, from here what I'm gonna do is head down to the weekly chart, and here we are on the weekly chart. Let's have a look. What do we see on the weekly chart? On the weekly chart, we can see that as much as on the monthly chart we spoke about that huge M structure, we also have another M structure at this point, which also has a neckline at this point, more or less. Can you guys see that? And we can see that the neckline has been broken to the bottom side, and price currently went up to just test the neckline again. And at that point where we have the testing of the neckline is where we should potentially be looking for selling opportunities, as the anticipation is for the market to push further down, right? Let's see. So what else do we see, guys, in regards to the weekly chart? In fact, before we proceed, I just want to add a neckline to that structure. Let's see. We could say that this is the neckline of that smaller M structure, and I just hope that my lines are not too confusing. But anyway, let's proceed. And guys, another thing that's happening is that as much as we have this M structure over here, I hope you guys can also see that we have what seems to be an opposing inverted head and shoulders pattern possibly happening at that point, right? But it hasn't yet confirmed itself, as on this side the right shoulder has not really formed itself properly, but we might potentially see an inverted head and shoulders pattern forming at that point, right? Anyway, let's proceed. From here, what I'm going to do is head down to the daily chart, and here we are on the daily chart. Let's have a look. Let's see. So the first thing that I'm going to do in regards to the daily chart is to add my daily channel. Let's see, how would I add my daily channel? I would do it in this manner. Let's have a look. I would add it in this manner for now, and we just need to ensure that our, or whatever drawings that we add to our charts, are as accurate as can be. There we go, right? So we can say that that's our daily channel, more or less, right? Remember, guys, just to recap, right, on the monthly chart we spoke about how we have that huge M structure, right, which has a neckline at that point, right? However, on the weekly chart we spoke about how we have this smaller M structure over here, which has a neckline at that point, right? So just keep that in the back of your minds as we proceed to the lower time frames, right? So let's have a look. Now that we're on the chart, what else do we see, guys? Also on the weekly chart we spoke about an inverted head and shoulders pattern potentially taking place at this point. However, now that we are on the daily chart, we can see that we do indeed have an inverted head and shoulders pattern there, and it's confirmed, right? So we have two opposing structures. In fact, we have a dilemma, right? The first point is that we have an M structure which has a neckline at that point, more or less, right? To add to that, we also have an inverted head and shoulders pattern which also has a neckline more or less close to the structure over here. So it makes buying or selling in regards to the daily chart a bit tricky, right? As things stand, I would not say buy or sell, because buying or selling at this point would be very much risky in my humble opinion, right? Anyway, we will head down to the smaller time frames and see if we can potentially get away with buying or selling at that level. Anyway, let's proceed. So what else do we see, guys, in regards to the daily chart? Let me just zoom in a bit. Let's have a look. Another thing that I can see is that we have what seems to be an M structure at this point, and similarly it also has a neckline at this point, right? And we can see that the neckline is yet to be broken, right? But in order for us to sell, I believe that we should wait for price to actually close below this neckline and then head back to the neckline. At that neckline is where we would look for potential selling opportunities, right? And that would be in line with, if I can just go back to the weekly chart. So that would be in line with the fact that on the weekly chart we actually have this M structure and a neckline at that point, and I said that once price comes back to this level, at this level is where we should look for potential selling opportunities, right? So just to go back to the daily chart, right? Yes, we should indeed be looking for potential selling opportunities at this point. However, the safe way to do it is to wait for price to close below this area over here where we have, you know, the neckline of that M structure, right? And then wait for the market to head back to that level again, and at that level is where we would sell, right? And I believe that our first take profit should be this level over here. And the reason why I say this level is because, or that level is because we have this candlestick. It is a bearish candlestick with a small body and quite a long lower wick, and that level over there tells us that we have a lot of liquidity at that point, and that liquidity needs to be grabbed by the market at one point or another, right? So that's what I would do in regards to the daily chart, right? So I'm just gonna add a line there. I'll just add a line for that. In fact, I will add a rectangle rather, which is the neckline of this M structure, right? I just hope my lines are not too confusing, guys, but I'm just trying to make sure that we don't get lost as we head down to the smaller time frames, right? So wait for price to close below this level and then look for potential selling opportunities, and the first take profit I say should be around that point, right? So from here I'm just gonna head down to the H4 chart. Let's have a look. I'm just gonna zoom in a bit. Let's see, here we are on the H4 chart, and the first thing that I'm going to do in regards to the H4 chart is to add my H4 channel, and I would add it in this manner. Just bear with me. I would add my H4 channel in this manner, more or less, right? I hope you guys can see that, right? And just to recap again, remember on the daily chart we spoke about how we have this M structure over here which has a neckline at that point, and I said to you guys that we should wait for price to close below this level, come back to the neckline to test it, and at this level is where we should look for potential selling opportunities, and our first take profit should be this level over here where we have that candlestick that's carrying all of that liquidity, right? So let's just zoom in a bit and see. So what else do we see, guys, in regards to the H4 chart? At this point I don't really see much, although I will just point out that as much as we have this M structure, right, which we spoke about on the daily chart, I hope you guys can see that we also have let's see, we also have another smaller M structure over here, which has a neckline at that point, and that's the reason why myself personally I've sold at this point, and that is because we have an M structure, right? Price broke to the bottom side of the neckline, went back to the neckline to test it, and at that neckline is where I look for a selling opportunity. My first take profit is this level. However, should price close below this level on the daily chart, I will look for further selling opportunities, right? So that is it, guys, as far as my analysis goes. I hope my drawings were not too confusing. And yeah, that's it, and peace out, guys.